will be a global hub for healthcare. We will be a global hub for supply chains and medical devices. So with that, I think a balancing act needs to be done, which recognizes the growth impetus and inclusiveness, which will really do immensely well for the Indian medtech sector in not only the short term, medium, but also in the long term.
Hello everyone, I am Chugh, welcoming you to Mojo for Industry CEOs Roundtable on what Indian medical devices industry expects from the upcoming budget. The session is supported by Association of Indian Medical Device Industry, that is IMED. Take this opportunity to introduce the CEOs who are going to share their thoughts during this session. Mr. Jatin Mahajan, Managing Director of Mitra and Company. Mr. Gurmit Singh Chugh is Managing Director of Translumina Therapeutics, and Mr. Ganesh Sabat, who is the CEO of Sahajanand Medical Technologies. Now to take the session forward, I would like to invite the moderator of the session, Dr. Rajiv Chhibber.
Thank you very much, Shubhajit. We are coming very much fresh from the ideas that was just germinated in 2021, and in 2022, as we space the union budget, we from the industry have a huge expectation. I'll first like to go to Jatin ji. How would you term the IVD industry as an important aspect, and certain measures that you would really want the government to look at, followed by your expectations in the budget?
My ask from this particular budget is going to be like, there was a particular national essential diagnostic list which was actually prepared and finalized by ICMR in the month of August 2019. Well, it has not been implemented. Now, if that list is implemented, it will actually catapult the growth in this particular sector, because consumption will increase. Also, what is important is when it is implemented across and government makes it part of the procurement process across various levels, whether it is the wellness centers or at the district hospitals or the pre-primary centers, it will actually make these tests more affordable, which in turn will make the consumption even higher. So ultimately, it's going to be win-win-win situation. So that is my first ask: implementation of this national essential diagnostic list. Now, the second thing is, which is a very important area, and we have been representing to the various departments from IMED, is the inverted duty structure. Now, the irony here is the custom duty on the raw materials is very high compared to the finished goods. So as a manufacturer, why should I manufacture a particular product when it's very easy for me to import a finished goods from my neighboring country or anywhere in the world and start marketing? I can become an importer or a trader for my products and start selling it in the market, because the finished goods duty right now is at 0%, nil duty. So there is no motivation, there's no encouragement for the domestic manufacturers to actually manufacture or invest in the capacity enhancements. So that is another area of concern, and if this thing can be corrected, it can actually motivate, or it can actually inspire the domestic manufacturers to build in, to invest in capacity, to have more bigger plants and to have better product lines. So my ask from the government here is to reduce the duty on the raw materials as low as possible.
These are absolutely very well taken points, because certain areas is where we would want an absolute no bargain around what the union budget may want to pose, and we do hope that this union budget does not become one of those political budgets, because we've got like 5 states right now in stake really running for elections. So you touched on a very important point, is how the domestic companies, or how can we, the industry really look at having a larger share. So I'll right now come to Mr. Ganesh Sabat. So Ganesh, when you look at the entire budget being unfurled last year and to what has been achieved this year in terms of the entire segmentation of the union budget, do you think that the domestic companies need to have a larger share so that we would be able to really make a meaningful impact, not only within the country but also globally? And how will that impact in the long run, especially when schemes like the PLI scheme and other schemes in policy regulations are being looked at?
I think a couple of things that need to start is we need to increase, I think Mr. Jatin Mahajan have said, we need to increase the amount allocated to Ayushman Bharat. I think we certainly need to increase that amount. The second, even today, Ayushman Bharat is not covering all the therapies. There are other therapies which are contributing large amount to the death of the people, and some of those people are contributing to the society. So when you lose this kind of people, the society at large is losing a earning member and probably taking care of probably 7-8 people at the same time. So it's very important that Ayushman Bharat cover other therapies, particularly life-saving areas. All the therapies in the life-saving area need to be covered. Third point, if you look at the eligibility criteria, there are two eligibility criteria. One is the D7, famous D7 for the rural. And second, there is an inclusion criteria for the urban category. I think that need to be expanded. Otherwise, if you are going to cover only rag pickers and are not going to cover people who are probably at the minimum salary level of many private companies, those companies are also not in a position to give health coverage to these people, then we are not doing the right thing for the society. Okay, only, it should not only for social cause. It should not only for rag pickers, beggars. It should also be for that part of the society which is contributing to the society, but there's nobody to take care. So I think that aspect need to be looked at. And my expectation from the government is to, Ayushman Bharat need to be strengthened overall. And these are the different steps that the government, I'm pretty sure, must be thinking about.
Very well said points. So coming to you, Gurmit ji, looking at the fact that R&D and innovation is something which, while has always been valued but has never been in the forefront, how would you really want the government to have something on innovation and R&D as a newer element on every step to be really incorporated, and budgetary allocations towards that?
When we talk about R&D, the three things which we wrote to the government, and the first thing was, if you want to subsidize R&D, just give us a tax exemption. Allow us 150 to 200% of the exemption based on whatever we are spending on R&D. Create R&D bonds. I mean, even in this journey of R&D, from a time you have an idea to the time you get the product, this is a very uncertain journey. And this uncertain journey, if the cost of the failure is always favoring the manufacturer or a MSME, they will never do it. The government needs to take some part in understanding that they are with you even if this fails. So, which means that when you create this R&D subsidies, the companies are encouraged to basically invest in this R&D. What I'm saying is, exactly, how you do it is important. So when you are putting this money there, when you have discussed Ayushman Bharat, you have discussed state. Now these state insurance schemes are also causing a lot of problem for us. You want an angioplasty procedure to be reimbursed at 65,000. You talk to a hospital, they say it's difficult for us to even imagine paying a doctor and paying for the products without reusing them. And so on one side, all this is hurting the, let's say, population at large. On the other side, it is discouraging companies to do R&D and to innovate, because they will not get their investments back if they do so. So just to answer it together, I think this is a right time for the government not to give SOPs. There's no reason, no SOPs are required from them. There's no grants are needed. All these grants at times, looks very impressive, but when you go to the finer details, If the failure doesn't favor equally government and the person who's taking the grant, nobody wants it. So my priority is get the basics right. If you get the basics right, automatically there are going to be the ripple effects around, and R&D innovation only can propel in an atmosphere and an ecosystem which is there for it. So I think this is by large the expectation. So if you analyze it well, just get the basics right. So
No,
that's
absolutely right. If I summarize the entire discussion points that we have, the entire activity that we are doing today for the budget is really to win the race of make in India and make in India for the world. And what every one of you today said was really looking at ensuring the cost advantage and absolutely over the imported goods that we get, and especially if we look at it, the China factor, which plays a larger role. We're looking at faster government permissions and single window clearances and ease of doing business, which is now a focus. That's something which I think needs to be echoed again and again if we need to have a really upcoming budget. Lastly, I actually would want to just summarize the part that yes, R&D investments in all schemes and larger investments in all schemes, whether it's Ayushman Bharat or the state schemes, those need to be really rationalized and really go down to the drawing board, as Ganesh and Gurmit said, to look at the pragmacy of the entire health and the medical devices sector to really hand out. I thank all three of you for your time today and very well articulated points by each one of you.
For more updates, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon.